Oh man, have you seen the new Corvette Zora? It's kind of been recently announced that it's out there testing on the Nürburgring in Germany. It's got a big wang on it. It's got the, you know, I can't see you camouflage on it. And it's gonna have the ZR1 drivetrain. Yes, that very 5.5 liter flat plane crank, dual overhead cam, variable valve timing, twin turbo V8 that's in the ZR1, but they one-upped it. They added hybrid drive to the front. They're gonna have an electric drive front end of this thing, so it's effectively gonna be an all-wheel drive platform, and it's likely gonna come with a stick shift. And I gotta say, I'm super excited about it. I think it's gonna be fantastic, and I think it's absolutely hilarious that the new ZR1 is now kind of the awkward middle child. Man, how long did you rule on the top of the roost? Like a month or two? Not very long ago, I pissed off a whole lot of the internet because I told everybody that I think the new ZR1 is stupid. And I still stand by that. I actually probably stand by that even more, because now that the Zora is essentially officially announced, the ZR1 is in this kind of weird middle ground thing where it's still gonna be crazy expensive, but it's not gonna be the top of the mountain. It's gonna already be a middle ground vehicle when it comes out. And it's still gonna be $200,000 as a Corvette, which is crazy. To me, Corvettes have always been the attainable blue-collar working man's muscle car. Street car, race car, hot rod, whatever it is, it's a blue-collar working man's vehicle. What they tried to do with the ZR1 is elevate it to that level of, we compete with Lamborghini and Ferrari and Porsche and all that kind of stuff, where you think that those people who buy that are cross-shopping between those brands. That's really not the case. However, with a $200,000 price tag, those are exactly the same people that you're going after. I was recently over at the Chevy dealership actually picking up some parts for another vehicle, and there was a stripped down C8 Z06 that was in the parking lot. And the sticker price on that vehicle was $137,000. $137,000. And that is the stripped down version of the Corvette Z06. So let's go in order of what these Corvettes are. So you have a base model Corvette, then you have the Z06 Corvette, then you have the ZR1 Corvette, and now you're gonna have the Corvette Zora. How many blue-collar people do you know that can afford a $140,000 Corvette before tax? Much less the ZR1 that's gonna probably be knocking on the door of $200,000 plus dealer markup. Because it's not gonna be a very common vehicle. It's gonna be a pretty rare vehicle. It's gonna end up being one of those things that's bought by people who wanna buy it as a bragging right, and it's gonna sit in a garage somewhere, and it's never gonna be driven to its full potential. Most of the people that I know that can afford a $200,000 car, brand new, cannot handle a 1,000 horsepower missile with 4 tires on it. It's just the nature of the beast. Most of those guys that decide to buy those gigantic price tag vehicles are not really out there for raw performance. They're out there for bragging rights and the importance factor. And when you have a keychain that says Corvette on it, it's not nearly as cool as a prancing bull. It's just not. Or a prancing horse, or any type of prancing thing. It's just not the same kind of thing. Now the Zora, on the other hand, the Zora, I think, is actually what Corvette should have done in the first place. I think, in my own personal long-bearded opinion, I think the Corvette Zora should have been just called the Zora, the Chevrolet Zora. I think that should have been its own thing. I think you should have taken that mid-engine rear-wheel drive chassis and just made it a supercar. Compete at that high level. If you're gonna go after that high-end customer and you wanna go after that supercar status and performance, just go after it with one individual thing. Do not make it a sub-model of the Corvette. Leave the Corvette as it was intended to be, as it's been for 7 generations previous to this. Front engine, rear-wheel drive, with a stick in the middle, sort of. Corvettes are kind of complicated with their transmissions. But that's how the car should have been. And it should stay in that same marketplace where it's competing as a blue-collar vehicle. I don't know too many people that drive truck or move sod or turn wrenches for a living that can even imagine going to the dealership and dropping $130,000 for a base model C7 or C6, excuse me, C8 Z06 Corvette. So many things. I don't know any of them. If you know them, great. They probably own the company that they're doing it for, and they might be buying it as a company car. but it's lost its way. It's become something that doesn't really make any sense. And I will stand by the fact that I think it's not that complicated to make 1,000 horsepower at the crank from a LS powertrain, and now it's an LT powertrain, especially with variable valve timing on cams and good turbo technology. It's really not that hard. I'm in fact already kind of going down this path myself with a twin turbo LS build that I have apparently talked myself and the internet has talked me into building to prove the point. So I'm actually actively shopping for and probably going to pick up in the next couple of days my very own aluminum LS to be able to build into a 1,000 horsepower vehicle or a 1,000 horsepower pump gas powertrain to prove the point that this is really not that hard. But that's neither here nor there. For me, it's the fact that the Zora is what it should have been to begin with. That's what Chevy should have built this new thing into. That should have been your hypercar all along. All of this other stuff just doesn't make any sense. And I can't imagine the person right now that's looking at buying a ZR1 Corvette for $200,000 knowing that there's already a better, cooler, faster, more interesting vehicle just on the horizon for a little bit more money. I don't know. How do you talk yourself into spending $200,000 for something that's not the best of the best? You're not going to ever use it anyway. It's just for bragging rights. And yeah, I can't afford one either. For those of you who are going to comment, oh, you're just a hater because you can't afford one. You're damn skippy, I can't afford one. Neither can almost everybody that I know. Especially that turns a wrench for a living or that actually works for a living, that isn't in some kind of a white collar, you know, kind of career. It's very hard to imagine anybody being able to afford $120,000 or $140,000 or $200,000 Corvette. It's just out of the realm of possibility. To me, it would have been much smarter to be able to take that Zora and make it what it should have been. Make it the hypercar at the halo of Chevrolet. Make it that the demon, you know, top vehicle. But make it a demon. Don't make it a Chevrolet Corvette Zora. Just make it a Chevy Zora. Complete with things that are outside of the class of what normal Chevrolets can compete with. To me, that would have made more sense. To me, competing in the space of like a... Hell, even Ford doesn't compete in this space anymore, but the smaller, more interesting, compact, fun car space. You know, bring out something to compete with something like that. Ford should be building one of these. I don't know why Ford doesn't build a new Capri that looks something like that instead of this horrible SUV thing that they're building in Europe with Volkswagen of all people. That's something that like a normal person could buy. You know, make it a $35,000, $45,000 sports car that somebody normal could possibly see themselves in. As Corvette has become like the only performance left in the GM brand, everything else has died off. They've scaled it to just rich people only. And rich people toys are not that interesting to me. I don't really care. I want normal people toys. I want to be, you know, what you guys are, where you're just wanting to buy something fun that you can play with on the weekends and tinker with and maybe upgrade a little bit and change this and change that. We're not going to do that on $200,000 cars. We're never going to be able to buy them. It just doesn't make any sense. I think GM would have gotten so much more bang for their buck and so much more interesting if they had focused all of their talents, or even some of their talents, on building something that's a smaller, more interesting, more attainable platform than focusing all of this energy on cars that 99% of us could never possibly afford. Yeah, it's great because it grabs headlines. Congratulations, it's gonna make 1,200 horsepower, whoop-de-friggin-do. I'm sure it's gonna set a brand new record around the Nürburgring. Yippee! But it doesn't really matter for those of us who are out here in the real world that want to buy something fun and have a good car, and we don't have any options anymore. We don't. They're gone. All we got left is Mustang. That's it. It's depressing. Now, get off my lawn. This is an old guy just talking to you. This is not what I normally do with this channel, but I saw the new news and I wanted to make a new rant about it. So thanks for being here. If you made it this far, I truly do appreciate you. I hope you have a great rest of your day. I love you. Take care. Let me know how stupid I am in the comments below. Bye-bye.